cold, wealthy CEO invited his ex as a joke, but when she arrived looking like a goddess and with triplets, he moved toward her like a man walking underwater, each step requiring conscious effort. The electricity between them charged the air, making his skin prickle with awareness. Have you ever waited years to deliver news that would change someone's life forever? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The invitation arrived like a bad joke, embossed gold lettering on cream cardstock, addressed to the woman he destroyed 6 years ago. But when she walked into his gala with 3 little boys bearing his eyes, the billionaire who owned half of Manhattan suddenly owned nothing at all. Cole Harrington froze mid-conversation, champagne flute suspended between his perfectly tailored suit and lips that had just been smiling at a blonde socialite. The entire ballroom seemed to hold its breath as Danielle Price moved through the crowd, head high, shoulders back, wearing revenge like it was couture. "Is that?" whispered a board member at his elbow. "Yes," Cole managed, watching his 3 identical boys, no more than 5 years old, clung to her hands. 3 boys with dark hair and striking blue eyes. His eyes, looking around the opulent room with innocent curiosity. Crystal chandeliers threw diamonds of light across her black satin gown as she moved through the ballroom. Her head high, 3 miniature tuxedos flanking her like tiny guards. Each boy's blue eyes cutting through the crowd to land directly on the man who never knew they existed. Cole set down his glass before he dropped it. 6 years had transformed Danielle from the heartbroken woman he'd discarded into someone who commanded attention without asking. Her hair fell in loose curls around shoulders bared by her gown, her smile cool and composed as she acknowledged former acquaintances who once whispered about her behind manicured hands. Now they whispered something else entirely. "Those can't be, but look at their eyes. He always said he couldn't. The shareholders will lose their minds." Cole felt perspiration gather at his collar. The annual Harrington Enterprises Winter Gala was streaming live across social media platforms. Hundreds of guests were capturing this moment on their phones. By morning, his apparent fatherhood would make headlines across the country. He moved toward her like a man walking underwater, each step requiring conscious effort. The electricity between them charged the air, making his skin prickle with awareness. Even now, after everything, his body recognized hers, remembered the curves beneath that satin, recalled how perfectly they'd once fit together. When he reached her, words failed him completely. "Hello, Cole," she said, her voice steady though her pulse visibly fluttered at her throat. "Thank you for the invitation. I hope you don't mind that I brought guests." 3 small faces turned up to study him. One boy clutched a miniature dinosaur in his fist. Another straightened his bow tie in a gesture so familiar it made Cole's chest ache. The third simply stared, unblinking, as if memorizing the face of the father he'd never met. "Danielle," he finally managed, "we need to talk." Her smile never wavered. "Yes, we certainly do. Have you ever waited years to deliver news that would change someone's life forever? Would you choose a public moment or a private one? Tell me in the comments what you'd do." As cameras flashed and whispers spread, Danielle leaned close enough that only he could hear. "You invited me as a joke. I came to collect what you owe me." And with those words, the night that would dismantle his empire began. The last time Cole Harrington touched her, he'd slipped off her wedding ring and told her to leave his house before security arrived. Now he stood frozen, watching the children who carried his blood and bone play with the dessert forks at table 7. "We should move somewhere private," Cole said, eyes darting to his guests who barely pretended not to stare. "What?" Danielle's voice carried just enough to make nearby conversations pause. "You invited me to be seen, didn't you?" Your little handwritten note made that clear. A waiter passed with champagne. She took a glass with practiced elegance, a far cry from the marketing manager for Baltimore who had once been overwhelmed by wealth. That woman died the night Cole threw her away. Miami heat had wrapped around them like a blanket when they met at the property expo. Cole remembered how her laugh had cut through his carefully constructed walls, how her intelligence had challenged him when she questioned his development proposal. 2 weeks later, he proposed marriage. 6 months after that, he discarded her like something broken beyond repair. Their last night together replayed in her mind. The Atlanta rain battering windows like angry fists, his voice cold as he tossed medical papers across marble floors, accusing her of betrayal when the fertility specialist suggested he might be the one who couldn't have children. "You never wanted children with me," he'd said, voice like ice. "You just wanted my name, my money." The memory burned even now, standing in his glittering ballroom, watching him stare at the 3 boys who proved everything he believed was wrong. She still remembered how his hands had memorized every inch of her body in those early days. How his mouth had worshipped her until she cried his name. How even in their final weeks, when distance grew between them, their physical connection remained electric, undeniable. A crash pulled her from the memory. One of the boys had knocked over a water glass. Cole instinctively stepped forward to help, then froze, uncertain of his place. The awkward movement revealed vulnerability beneath his armor of wealth and control. "What are their names?" he asked, voice rough with emotion he couldn't quite suppress. "Alexander, Nicholas, and James," she answered, watching his face carefully. "They turned 5 last month. Simple math hung between them. 5 years plus 9 months. Conceived right before their divorce. Why didn't you tell me?" The question held decades of lost moments. "You made yourself perfectly clear the night you accused me of infidelity and threw me out of our home. What would you do if someone accused you of something you didn't do? Then 6 years later you had the chance to set the record straight. Drop a comment below." She'd left his mansion that night with nothing but the clothes on her back and a secret growing inside her that would change everything. A secret she never planned to reveal until his invitation arrived with his mocking handwritten note. "For old time's sake, you always did love a good party." 300 elite guests watched as Cole Harrington, the man who never apologized to anyone, crossed the ballroom floor like a man walking to his execution, his eyes never leaving the face of the woman who held his legacy in her hands. "Boys, this is Mr. Harrington. He owns this beautiful building," Danielle introduced, her voice calm despite the tension crackling between them. "Can you say hello?" "Hello," they chorused, 3 identical voices at slightly different pitches. Cole knelt to their level, a gesture so uncharacteristic that several phones immediately raised to capture the moment. The great CEO humbling himself before 3 small children wearing his face. "Hello," he replied, his voice unsteady. "It's very nice to meet you." Alexander, the boldest, stepped forward. "Do you really own all this?" His small hand gestured to the opulent surroundings. "Some of it," Cole answered honestly, something shifting in his expression. "We have an apartment," Nicholas offered proudly. "Mommy lets us have goldfish there." "That's wonderful," Cole managed, looking up at Danielle with questions burning in his eyes. The ballroom hushed as they stood face to face, 6 years of silence collapsing between them. The crystal glasses and silver platters surrounding them suddenly fragile as the reputation he'd built. "Let's step outside," Cole suggested again, more firmly this time. "The boys just arrived. They're hungry." Danielle nodded toward their assigned table. "We should eat first." Cole followed them to the table, acutely aware of board members tracking his movements, of shareholders whispering behind cocktail napkins. The company stock would react tomorrow. Questions would emerge about succession plans, about stability, about the man they thought they knew. As Danielle helped the boys with their napkins, Cole's hand accidentally brushed hers. The contact sent electricity shooting up his arm, a visceral reminder of chemistry that 6 years hadn't diminished. She felt it too. He could tell by the flush that climbed her neck, the slight catch in her breath before she pulled away. "Those boys," he started, voice rough. "Our boys," she corrected, steel beneath silk. "The ones the doctors said you couldn't have. I need to understand." "You'll have plenty of time to understand," she interrupted, her voice dropping to prevent the children from hearing. "Starting with understanding exactly what happens when you dismiss someone as gold-digging trash, then mock them with an invitation 6 years later." The middle boy, Nicholas, looked up with innocent curiosity. Are you friends with my mommy? Cole hesitated, eyes meeting Danielle's over their son's head. We used to know each other, Danielle answered before Cole could speak. A long time ago. Before we were born, James asked, carefully cutting his chicken into perfect squares. Yes, Cole answered, watching his sons with undisguised wonder. Before you were born, have you ever faced someone who once broke you, only to discover you're stronger than they ever imagined? Share your triumph below. As cameras captured every second for his live streaming gala, Danielle's phone buzzed with a text from her attorney. Documents delivered to board members. Phase 1 complete. She smiled at Cole, a smile that made his blood run cold. Should we step outside? She asked. There's something you should know about your company. On the night Cole Harrington learned he was a father, he also discovered he was no longer the majority shareholder of his own company, and the architect of both revelations wore red lipstick and revenge like they were made for her. What have you done? Cole demanded once they reached the private terrace overlooking Manhattan's glittering skyline. The winter air bit through his suit jacket, but he barely noticed. I've been busy these past 6 years. Danielle's calm contrasted with his barely contained rage. While raising our children alone, she opened her clutch and removed several folded documents, handing them to him with steady fingers. Cole scanned the papers, disbelief etching deeper lines into his face with each page. This isn't possible, he finally managed, looking up with eyes that had lost their arrogance. These shell companies are mine, she finished, all legally acquired through various investment groups. Your board members are reviewing similar documents right now. Manhattan's skyline glittered beyond the terrace, indifferent to the power shift happening against its backdrop, as she handed him papers that transferred his life's work from his hands to hers with nothing but signatures and strategy. I worked 3 jobs for 2 years, she said, voice steady as steel. Then I built a competing firm, acquired your debts, and bought shares through shell companies. Your board just voted. I now control 51% of Harrington Enterprises. The night air carried her perfume, the same one she'd worn when they first met. The scent hit him with memories of skin against skin, of whispered promises in the dark. Even now, with his world collapsing around him, his body betrayed him with awareness of her proximity. Why tonight, he asked, fingers tightening on the papers. Why this public spectacle? You tell me, she countered. You sent the invitation. You wrote that condescending note. Cole fell silent, the truth hanging between them. He'd invited her to flaunt his success, to show her what she'd lost. Instead, she'd orchestrated his humiliation with precision that bordered on art. The boys, he said finally, they're really mine? DNA tests are included in that packet. I had them done privately years ago, but the doctors said they were wrong. Or perhaps influenced by someone who wanted our marriage to fail. Her eyes held his, challenging. Have you never questioned why everything fell apart so perfectly? Why evidence of my supposed betrayal appeared exactly when you were most vulnerable? Cole stared at her, pieces clicking into place that he'd never allowed himself to examine. Someone played us both, he said slowly, the revelation dawning. And now you're beginning to ask the right questions. Danielle's smile held no warmth. 6 years too late. He stepped closer, driven by an impulse he couldn't name. In the cold air, with accusations and revelations between them, he could still feel the magnetic pull that had drawn them together from the first moment. Her breath caught as he neared, her body remembering his despite everything between them. What do you want, Danielle? His voice dropped low, intimate. I want you to know how it feels to lose everything you love. Starting tomorrow, you work for me. What would you do if you could legally take everything from someone who once left you with nothing? Would you show mercy or justice? Comment below. As understanding dawned in his eyes, something else flickered there too. Not just rage, but grudging respect. What do you want? He asked, voice raw. Her answer was simple. I want you to know how it feels to lose everything you love. Starting tomorrow, you work for me. She offered him a deal that felt like both salvation and damnation. See his children every day and save what remained of his company, but do it while answering to the woman he'd once discarded like yesterday's news. You expect me to work under you? Cole paced the terrace, the documents clutched in his hand. To report to you after you orchestrated this corporate takeover, I expect you to decide what matters more, your pride or your children. Danielle's voice remained level despite the emotions churning beneath her composed exterior. This is blackmail. This is consequences. She pulled her wrap tighter against the December chill. You have two choices. Accept the position as Chief Operating Officer of the merged company, relocated to our Atlanta headquarters where the boys have their school and friends. Or fight me in court for both the company and visitation rights. You wouldn't keep them from me, wouldn't I? You've been absent for 5 years. You have no relationship with them. And your reputation for ruthless business practices doesn't exactly scream father material to family court judges. Cole stopped pacing, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair, disturbing it for the first time that evening. The gesture reminded her of their early days, before wealth hardened him, when genuine emotion sometimes broke through his careful control. What are the terms? He finally asked. Dawn broke over the city as they finalized terms in his penthouse office, the same room where he'd once celebrated acquisitions and hostile takeovers, now the site of his own surrender. The night had stretched into morning, lawyers called and dismissed, documents drafted and revised. You'll move back to the Georgia headquarters, she stated, no room for negotiation. The boys need stability. You'll have supervised visitation while proving you deserve to be their father. And you'll report to me every day as COO of the merged company. Exhaustion had lowered both their guards. As they reached for the same document, their fingers brushed, sending that familiar jolt of awareness through them. His gaze lingered on her lips as she spoke, remembering how they felt against his own, against his skin. She noticed his attention and faltered mid-sentence, the professional mask slipping to reveal the woman who once loved him completely. Why this elaborate revenge? He asked quietly. You could have just told me about the boys. Would you have believed me? Or would you have accused me of lying for money, for child support? Her question hung in the air between them, honest enough to hurt. He had no defense against the truth of what he might have done 6 years ago. I'll sign, he conceded. For the boys. For the boys. She agreed, though something flickered in her eyes that suggested more complex motives. Would you work alongside someone who broke your heart if it meant giving your children what they deserved? What price would you pay for family? Tell me in the comments. As she gathered her things to leave, he asked the question burning through him. Why didn't you tell me about them? Her laugh held no humor. You told the world I was unfaithful and infertile. You think I would hand my babies to a man who could be so cruel? But as the elevator doors closed between them, she didn't share the real reason. The secret about that night that would destroy him when he finally learned the truth. The first day Cole Harrington walked into his former empire as second in command, whispers followed him like shadows. The great CEO now answering to his ex-wife, the woman everyone once pitied now sitting in his chair. Mr. Harrington, your 9 a.m. is waiting, his former assistant said, clearly uncomfortable with the role reversal. Her eyes darted to the nameplate on the door that now read Danielle Price, Chief Executive Officer. Cole nodded, straightening his tie before entering what used to be his office. The space had been transformed, family photos replacing modern art, children's drawings framed alongside business awards. Danielle sat behind his former desk, hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, power suit replacing last night's evening gown. Good morning, she greeted, professional and distant. Ready for your first day? Before he could answer, the office door burst open and 3 small tornadoes rushed in. Mommy, Miss Paula, said we could show Daddy our desks. Alexander announced, the word Daddy falling from his lips with casual ease that stopped Cole's heart. The Atlanta office hadn't changed. Same glass walls, same leather chairs, same view of peach trees lining the boulevard. But everything else had shifted, from a name on the CEO door to the 3 small desks set up in the corner where his sons could color while their parents rebuild a company and possibly a family. I made this for you, Nicholas said, holding up a crayon drawing of what appeared to be a tall man holding hands with 3 smaller figures. That's you and us. Cole took the paper with reverence, studying the childish scrawl at the bottom. To Dad. Thank you, he managed, voice tight with emotion. I'll keep it forever. Danielle watched the interaction, something softening in her expression. Boys, Miss Paula will take you to the cafeteria for breakfast. Mommy and your father have work to do. Alexander, Nicholas, and James, she introduced formally once they'd gone, as though Cole hadn't spent the night memorizing their names, their faces. Boys, this is your father. The smallest one frowned. Mommy says you were lost, but you don't look lost. Throughout the day, Cole navigated unfamiliar territory, not the business aspects, but the personal ones. Employees who once feared him now watched with curiosity as he followed Danielle's lead in meetings. Each time they stood close, reviewing documents together, her scent disarmed him, the accidental touch of her hand against his arm sending electricity through his body. That evening, while reviewing files in his new condo, significantly smaller than his Manhattan penthouse, Cole noticed discrepancies in old financial reports. Transfers from joint accounts during their marriage that made no sense. Withdrawals he'd never authorized. He pulled up more records, the puzzle pieces slowly connecting. The so-called evidence of Danielle's betrayal. The convenient timing of the doctor's infertility suggestion. The hotel photos that had appeared on his desk the morning after their biggest fight. Unless Danielle hadn't been the only one with secrets 6 years ago, someone else had accessed their accounts. And as the pieces connected in his mind, cold realization dawned. They might have both been victims of the same betrayal. Have you ever had to reintroduce someone important to your life after they disappointed you? How did you navigate those waters? Share below. That night, reviewing company files alone in his new condo, Cole discovered discrepancies in old accounts, transfers authorized during their marriage that made no sense. Unless Danielle hadn't been the only one with secrets 6 years ago. Someone else had accessed their accounts, and as the pieces connected in his mind, cold realization dawned. They might have both been victims of the same betrayal. The same night Cole discovered his sons loved dinosaurs and hated green beans, he also uncovered evidence suggesting Danielle might never have betrayed him at all, and the real villain in their story was still pulling strings from the shadows. Morning arrived with Cole red-eyed from lack of sleep. Financial documents spread across his kitchen counter. The trail was clear once he knew what to look for. Someone had systematically framed Danielle while simultaneously feeding him misinformation about his fertility. At the office, he watched her differently now, searching for signs of the woman he'd once loved beneath the armor of the businesswoman who'd conquered him. She caught him staring during the budget meeting, one eyebrow raised in silent question. "We need to talk," he said when they were finally alone. Not as CEO and COO, about what really happened 6 years ago. "We know what happened," she replied coolly. "You believed the worst about me without question." "Because someone wanted me to," he countered, sliding a folder across her desk. "Look at these account transfers. The timestamps. The access logs." Danielle's fingers hesitated before opening the file. Her composure slipped as she reviewed the evidence, color draining from her face. "Someone set us up," Cole pressed. "The same person who convinced me I couldn't father children, who manufactured evidence of your supposed affairs." That evening, he received a text message that made his heart stop. "Boys want to say goodnight to Daddy. Video call okay." Cole's hands trembled as he accepted the call. 3 pajama-clad boys appeared on screen. Alexander clutching a dinosaur book, Nicholas demonstrating a missing tooth, James simply watching with those serious eyes, so like Cole's own. "Daddy, Mommy said you can read us a story tomorrow night," Alexander announced. "In person. I'd like that very much," Cole replied, emotion thick in his voice. After the boys went to bed, Danielle returned to the call. Her defenses lowered, hair loose around her shoulders, the woman rather than the executive visible at last. "They've never had a father," she said quietly. "They're excited but careful. They've been told so many stories about you." "What kind of stories?" he asked, fearing the answer. "That you were a good man who got lost. That sometimes grown-ups make mistakes." She paused. "That you didn't know about them, or you would have come looking." The kindness of her lies cut deeper than any accusation. She could have painted him as a villain. Instead, she preserved the possibility of a father for her sons. Lightning flashed across Atlanta's skyline as he spread financial records across his kitchen counter, each document illuminating fragments of a 6-year-old setup designed to tear them apart. While across town, Danielle tucked their sons in a bed, telling stories about a father who got lost but might find his way home. "I found something," he said, voice tight with controlled fury. "Someone transferred funds from our accounts to make it look like you were stealing. The same day those fake hotel photos arrived at my office. We were played, Danielle. Have you ever discovered that what you believed for years might have been a lie? How did it change your perspective? Let me know in the comments." Her silence stretched so long he thought she'd hung up. Finally, her voice came, barely a whisper. "If what you're saying is true, then you should know who had access, who benefited from our divorce, who wanted your company vulnerable." And suddenly he knew. The person they trusted most, the architect of their destruction, was coming to dinner tomorrow night. When Cole's closest friend and business partner clapped him on the back and joked about keeping your enemies closer, neither of them realized Danielle had planted recording devices throughout the house, waiting for the confession that would reveal the man who destroyed their marriage. So, the prodigal wife returns with heirs in tow. Victor Reynolds raised his glass across Cole's dining table. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Quite the surprise package. "Life is full of surprises lately," Cole replied, playing his part. The plan he and Danielle had crafted was simple but dangerous. Get Victor talking, capture his confession, then use it to regain control of the company and clear Danielle's name. "And how does it feel, working under the woman you divorced?" Victor pressed, watching for weakness. "Must be quite the adjustment." "It's temporary," Cole answered, the lie smooth on his tongue. Under the table, Danielle's foot pressed against his. Their signal that Victor's body language had changed, tension revealing itself in his too casual posture. "I still can't believe she managed to acquire controlling interest," Victor continued, eyes fixed on Danielle. "Impressive for someone who left Atlanta with nothing but the clothes on her back." Crystal glasses clinked as 4 people dined in Cole's new home, smiles fixed like masks, conversation flowing like honey laced with poison, while beneath the table, Danielle's foot pressed against Cole's. Their secret signal when another lie was detected. "I had good teachers," Danielle replied, the double meaning clear to everyone but Victor's wife, who sat oblivious beside him. "I learned a lot during my marriage about leveraging assets." Victor's eyes lingered too long on Danielle, a look Cole recognized with growing rage. Not just calculation or suspicion, but something possessive, something that suggested history Cole wasn't aware of. "Tell me, Victor," Cole said carefully, "when did you first learn about my supposed infertility issues? I can't remember if I told you before or after that doctor's appointment." Victor's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "You called me right after, I believe. You were devastated." "Did I?" Cole exchanged a glance with Danielle. "My memory must be failing me." "To second chances," toasted Victor, raising his glass, eyes lingering too long on Danielle. "Some things are worth more the second time around." Cole's smile never reached his eyes as he replied, "Like loyalty, wouldn't you say?" Throughout dinner, they laid careful traps, watching Victor navigate them with the skill of a man accustomed to deception. Cole placed his hand at the small of Danielle's back as they moved to the living room for coffee, the staged intimacy feeling startlingly natural. Her body responded to his touch with a slight lean, muscle memory of years together betraying them both. When their guests finally departed, Cole retrieved the recording devices hidden throughout the dining room. He played the audio on his phone, both of them listening intently for any slip, any admission. "There," Danielle pointed as Victor's voice filled the room. "Never should have reconciled with her. The first time was messy enough. Don't make me clean up another mistake." And here, Cole advanced to another section. "Those boys could complicate everything we've built. DNA tests can be challenged." After their guests departed, Cole played the recording. Victor's veiled threats, his slip about details only the traitor would know. As the evidence mounted, Danielle's hands trembled. "He didn't just want your money," she whispered. The night before you asked for divorce, he came to me with an offer. And what happened next is what I never wanted you to know. Could you pretend to forgive someone you suspected of betraying you, just to uncover the truth? What lengths would you go to for justice? Share your thoughts. After their guest departed, Cole played the recording. Victor's veiled threats, his slip about details only the traitor would know. As the evidence mounted, Danielle's hands trembled. He didn't just want your money, she whispered. The night before you asked for divorce, he came to me with an offer. And what happened next is what I never wanted you to know. 6 years earlier, while Cole reviewed doctor financial statements suggesting his wife's betrayal, Victor Reynolds was in their home, threatening Danielle with evidence he'd manufactured himself, and making an offer that would haunt her long after she fled Georgia. I need you to tell me everything, Cole said, voice gentle but firm. They sat in his living room, the recording devices now silent, nothing between them but truth waiting to emerge. Danielle's hands trembled as she accepted the glass of water he offered. It was the night before you asked for divorce. You were at that conference in Boston. I remember. Victor told me to stay there while he handled the crisis at the office. There was no crisis at the office. He came to our house. Her voice changed, growing distant as if separating herself from the memory. It was raining. I was alone. Rain lashed against windows as lightning illuminated Victor's face, transforming from family friend to predator in an instant, his ultimatum hanging in the air of the mansion she'd once felt safe in. Submit to him or be destroyed in Cole's eyes forever. Give photos. Doctor, but convincing. Me with other men. Receipts from hotels I'd never visited. Bank statements showing withdrawals I'd never made. Her eyes lifted to Cole's. He said no one would believe me over him, that he'd been your friend for 20 years. Cole's jaw tightened, his hands curling into fists. What else did he do? He said there was a way to make it all disappear, that he'd always wanted me, that Cole Harrington didn't deserve a wife like me. Her voice cracked. When I refused him, he grabbed me, said he could take what he wanted and still destroy me after. Cole moved to sit beside her, close but not touching, respecting the space this revelation demanded. I fought him off, she continued, each word clearly painful. I managed to get to the kitchen, grab a knife. Her laugh held no humor. He didn't expect that. Said I was overreacting, that you'd never believe his advances were unwelcome anyway. I would have believed you, Cole whispered, the weight of 6 years pressing down on him. Would you? When he showed you those fabricated photos the very next day, you didn't even ask for my explanation. You threw me out within hours. The accusation hung between them, impossible to deny. I fought him off, she finished, voice hollow as she recounted the memory. But he said you'd never believe me over him, that he'd been planning this for months. The next morning, you served divorce papers without even speaking to me, and I knew he was right. Their marriage flashed before Cole's eyes, not the fights or the betrayal he believed in, but the tender moments. How she'd looked on their wedding day, the way she laughed when he twirled her in their kitchen, the nights they'd spent planning their future, talking about the children they hoped to have, all destroyed by a man he'd trusted like a brother. When I discovered I was pregnant, I knew I couldn't come back, she continued. Victor would have done anything to eliminate that threat, including, she couldn't finish the thought. Our children, Cole breathed, understanding fully for the first time. You were protecting our children. I changed my name, moved to Chicago, worked 3 jobs until the boys were born, then built my marketing firm into something that could compete with yours. I never planned to come back until I sent that invitation, Cole finished. Like a complete fool. The contrast between Victor's unwanted advances and their own past intimacy hung in the air between them. How Cole had always asked permission, had worshipped her body with reverence, had made her feel cherished rather than hunted. The violation of those sacred memories by Victor's actions felt like a physical blow. Cole's hands shook as he pulled her close, 6 years of misplaced anger crumbling into ashes. I'll destroy him, he promised, voice breaking. Against his chest, she whispered the words that changed everything. We already are. Phase 2 starts tomorrow, but he's not the only one who betrayed us. There's someone else. What would you do if you discovered someone you trusted had betrayed you? in the worst possible way. Would you seek justice or revenge? Comment below with your thoughts. Cole's hand shook as he pulled her close. 6 years of misplaced anger crumbling into ashes. "I'll destroy him," he promised, voice breaking. Against his chest, she whispered the words that changed everything. "We already are. Phase 2 starts tomorrow, but he's not the only one who betrayed us. There's someone else." The boardroom fell silent as Cole and Danielle entered side by side, united for the first time in 6 years. Not as lovers reunited, but as warriors with a common enemy and a plan that would dismantle the betrayal piece by calculated piece. "Good morning," Danielle greeted the assembled board members, her voice steady and confident. "Thank you all for making time for this emergency meeting." Cole stood slightly behind her right shoulder, a united front that caused visible confusion among the executives who'd expected continued tension between them. Victor Reynolds sat at the far end, his usual smirk faltering at their unexpected alliance. "Before we begin," Cole addressed the room, "I want to formally acknowledge my complete support for Ms. Price's leadership and the direction she's taking Harrington Enterprises." Murmurs rippled through the room. Victor's knuckles whitened around his pen. Morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the conference table where power was shifting like tectonic plates. Victor's confident smirk fading with each slide, each document, each piece of evidence methodically presented by the couple he thought he destroyed. "For the past several weeks," Danielle began, clicking to the first slide, "we've been conducting a comprehensive audit of all financial transactions over the past 7 years." Spreadsheets appeared on the wall screen, highlighted sections drawing all eyes to specific transfers, dates, and account numbers. These discrepancies reveal a systematic pattern of embezzlement and fraud. Cole continued seamlessly, as if they'd rehearsed for weeks instead of hours. Money funneled through shell companies, then routed back to personal accounts. With each new slide, with each damning piece of evidence, Victor's face grew paler. When he attempted to interrupt, Cole cut him off with a raised hand, a gesture he'd used countless times in this very room. "For 6 years," Danielle addressed the board, voice steady, "this man has stolen from this company, manipulated its leadership, and committed corporate espionage. Today, that ends." Cole stepped forward, completing her thoughts seamlessly. "And we have proof of who helped him." Throughout the presentation, Cole couldn't help noticing how perfectly they worked together. Her strategic mind complementing his attention to detail, her calm delivery balancing his more aggressive style. When she leaned over his shoulder to indicate a particular document, her perfume distracted him momentarily, the professional admiration he felt shifting into something more primal, more complicated. She felt it too. He could tell by the slight flush that colored her cheeks when their eyes met, by the way her breath caught when their shoulders brushed during the presentation. 6 years of anger and betrayal were giving way to something neither was ready to name. In conclusion, Danielle stated, turning to Victor directly, "We have submitted all evidence to the SEC and FBI. Their agents are currently executing search warrants at Mr. Reynolds' residence and personal office." Victor shot to his feet. "This is absurd. A vindictive fabrication by a woman scorned and a man who can't accept losing his company." "Actually," Cole replied calmly, "the evidence came from your own accounts. You got careless, Victor. Too confident no one would look closely enough. Security will escort you from the building," Danielle finished, nodding to the guards who had entered silently during the presentation. "Your credentials have been revoked." As security led a shouting Victor from the boardroom, the remaining executives sat in stunned silence until the chairman finally spoke. "I believe I speak for the entire board when I say we fully support your actions and leadership. Have you ever worked alongside someone who once hurt you to achieve a greater goal? How did you navigate those complex feelings? Share your experience below." As security escorted a shouting Victor from the building, Cole's phone buzzed with an alert. Someone had accessed their private server, downloading their evidence file. "She knows we're coming for her," Danielle whispered, eyes meeting his. "Your mother just booked a flight to the Caymans." Cole always believed his mother supported his marriage. until he discovered she'd paid Victor to destroy it, all to keep her son from changing his will to include the grandchildren she never wanted him to have. Your mother? Cole stared at Danielle in disbelief, his world tilting on its axis for the second time in as many days. Eleanor wouldn't. She would, Danielle interrupted, showing him the flight confirmation on her phone. And she did. Check the transaction records from 6 years ago. A personal payment from her account to Victor's offshore holding. The day before our divorce. Back in his office, Cole pulled up his mother's financial records. Access he'd never needed until now. There it was, a $2 million transfer labeled investment opportunity. The same day Victor had shown him the fabricated evidence of Danielle's betrayal. We need to move quickly, Cole said, grabbing his jacket. The Caymans have no extradition treaty. If she transfers those accounts, I've already alerted authorities, Danielle replied, her efficiency both impressive and slightly terrifying. They're holding her plane on the tarmac. We have 1 hour. The drive to the private airfield passed in tense silence. Cole gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened, memories flashing through his mind. His mother's subtle criticisms of Danielle from the beginning, her concern about their quick marriage, her surprising comfort when he announced the divorce. She never wanted me to have children, he said suddenly. Always talked about how they would complicate the succession plan for the company. She told me once that I wasn't Harrington material, Danielle replied quietly. I thought she meant I wasn't sophisticated enough. Now I realize she meant I wasn't controllable enough. Private jet engines hummed against Georgia's sunset sky as Eleanor Harrington's stilettos clicked across the tarmac. Her escape halted by the son she'd betrayed and the daughter-in-law she'd helped destroy, both standing like sentinels between her and freedom. Cole, Eleanor faltered, her perfectly maintained facade cracking at the sight of them together. What is the meaning of this? Why are federal agents searching my plane? You know exactly why, Mother. Cole's voice carried across the tarmac, flat and cold. We found the money trail. We know you paid Victor to fake evidence against Danielle, to convince me I was infertile, to destroy my marriage. Eleanor's chin lifted, defiance replacing shock. I did what was necessary. That girl was changing you, making you weak, talking about children and family when you needed to focus on the empire we built. The empire you wanted to control, Danielle corrected, stepping forward. With your son as the figurehead while you pulled the strings. Cole moved closer to Danielle, their shoulders nearly touching, a united front that made Eleanor's eyes narrow with calculation. You knew I wanted children more than anything. Cole's voice broke as he confronted his mother. You knew what it would do to me to think I couldn't have them. Eleanor's chin lifted. Harrington money stays with Harringtons. That girl was nothing but a gold digger who gave me 3 sons you tried to keep from me, he finished. As agents approached Eleanor with handcuffs, something broke in Cole's chest. Grief for the mother he thought he had, rage at the one who stood before him. Beside him, Danielle watched with complex emotions playing across her face. Not triumph, but a deep sadness for what his family could have been. Could you forgive family who betrayed you for money or power? Where would you draw the line? Let me know in the comments. As authorities led Eleanor away, Danielle touched Cole's arm. The first gentle contact initiated between them in 6 years. The boys are waiting at home, she said softly. Home. The word hung between them, filled with possibility and pain. There's something I need to ask you, he said, voice raw. Something I should have asked 6 years ago. With conspirators in custody and the company secured, only one broken thing remained. The trust between a man and woman who once promised forever, now standing in an empty house filled with ghosts of what might have been. I bought it back last week, Cole explained as he unlocked the front door of their former home. The Georgian-style mansion had stood empty since their divorce, no buyer willing to meet the asking price during the recession. I thought maybe he didn't finish the thought, unsure himself what he'd been thinking. Redemption? Seconde chance? Or simply a desperate grab at the past he'd thrown away. Moonlight spilled through uncurtained windows of their former home, sold years ago but recently repurchased by Cole. Dust sheets covering furniture like shrouds, their footsteps echoing through rooms once filled with laughter and later with tears. "It looks smaller," Danielle observed, running her finger along the marble fireplace mantel. "I remember thinking it was so grand when we first moved in." "You hated the kitchen," Cole recalled, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. "Said it was designed by someone who never cooked a meal, and you promised to renovate it." She turned to him, moonlight catching in her hair. Before everything fell apart, they moved through the house like explorers in an ancient temple, careful not to disturb the memories layered like dust. In the library, Danielle paused before the window seat where she used to read on Sunday mornings. In the sunroom, Cole remembered bringing her coffee while she sketched marketing concepts. When they reached the master bedroom, both hesitated at the threshold. This room held their most intimate memories, whispered confessions, passionate embraces, quiet moments watching the sunrise. It also held the echo of their final fight, the terrible words neither could take back. "I should have trusted you," he admitted, voice barely audible. "I should have asked questions. I should have fought for us." Her eyes glistened. "And I should have stayed and made you listen. We both lost 6 years we can't get back." Danielle moved to the window, looking out at the garden, now overgrown with neglect. "The boys would love this yard," she said softly, changing the subject to safer ground. "Danielle," Cole stepped closer, drawn by something stronger than caution. "I need to know if there's any chance for us, not just as co-parents or business partners, but us." She turned, moonlight illuminating the tears tracking silently down her cheeks. "How can you ask me that? After everything?" "Because I never stopped loving you," he confessed. "Even when I hated you, I loved you. Even when I thought you betrayed me, some part of me still wanted you back." "Love isn't enough," she whispered. "Trust was broken, on both sides. Then we built it again, slowly, day by day." As they stood in what was once their bedroom, the distance between them both vast and microscopic, his hand reached for hers. "Tentative, questioning." "Danielle," he whispered, "I'm not asking for everything back. Just a chance to earn your trust again." Her fingers intertwined with his, neither pulling away. "Starting with?" she asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Dinner," he said simply. "Just the 5 of us. A family meal. What would you say to someone who hurt you if you discovered they were misled? Is forgiveness possible after deep betrayal? Share your thoughts below." As they stood in what was once their bedroom, the distance between them both vast and microscopic, his hand reached for hers, tentative, questioning. "Danielle," he whispered, "I'm not asking for everything back. Just a chance to earn your trust again." Her fingers intertwined with his, neither pulling away. "Starting with?" she asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Dinner," he said simply. "Just the 5 of us. A family meal." Their first family dinner began with awkward silence and ended with laughter. 5 people connected by blood and circumstance, navigating the delicate space between strangers and family, between past wounds and possible healing. Cole arrived at Danielle's rented house exactly on time, a bottle of wine in one hand and 3 small gift bags in the other. He'd spent hours selecting the presents: dinosaur puzzles for Alexander, art supplies for Nicholas, and a model airplane kit for James. Small tokens that said, "I'm learning who you are. I want to be part of your world." His careful plans for an impressive meal dissolved the moment he stepped into the cheerful chaos of Danielle's home. The formal dining table had been abandoned for the coffee table, pizza boxes replacing the gourmet meal he'd arranged to be delivered. "The boys wanted pizza," Danielle explained with a small smile. "I hope that's okay." "Pizza is perfect," he replied, meaning it completely. Pizza boxes and children's drawings covered the dining table in Danielle's rented house, the formal setting she'd planned abandoned for something more honest. 3 little boys teaching their father the special way mommy cuts their crusts, their identical blue eyes assessing whether he'd get it right. "No, Daddy liked triangles," Alexander corrected, watching critically as Cole attempted to cut Nicholas's slice. "Mommy does it better." "I'm learning," Cole admitted, accepting the criticism with grace that would have shocked his business associates. The CEO who terrorized boardrooms, humbled by a 5-year-old's pizza standards. James, the quietest of the three, studied Cole with serious eyes. "Are you staying here now?" he asked suddenly, the question silencing the table. Cole glanced at Danielle, uncertain how to answer. Her face revealed nothing, leaving the response entirely to him. "I live nearby," he answered carefully, "but I'll visit often, if that's okay with you." "And with your mom?" "Every day," Nicholas pressed, hope brightening his features. "Not every day," Danielle interjected gently. "Daddy has his own house, but he'll be around a lot more now." "Will you live with us now?" Nicholas asked, innocent question silencing the adults. Cole looked to Danielle, careful not to presume. "I live nearby," he answered gently, "but I'll be here so often, it might feel like I do." His eyes never left hers, the real question hanging between them. As the evening progressed, Cole found himself relaxing into a role he'd never expected to play. He helped Nicholas build a fort from sofa cushions. He listened to Alexander's detailed explanation of dinosaur species. He sat quietly beside James, working together on a jigsaw puzzle without words needed between them. Watching him with the boys, Danielle felt something shift in her chest, a wall crumbling, a door opening. This was the man she'd fallen in love with years ago, before power and wealth hardened him. Gentle, patient, capable of joy. When bedtime arrived, a new hurdle appeared. "Will you read our story, Daddy?" Alexander asked, already in dinosaur pajamas, clutching a well-worn book. "I'd be honored," Cole replied, his voice rough with emotion. After tucking the boys in together, a first that left Cole's eyes suspiciously bright. They stood in her kitchen, the house quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. "Thank you," he said simply. She nodded, then gathered her courage. "There's something else you should know," she said, voice catching. "Something about the night the boys were conceived. Something that might change everything again. What small moment helped you rebuild trust with someone important in your life? Sometimes healing starts in unexpected places. Share your story below." After tucking the boys in together, a first that left Cole's eyes suspiciously bright. They stood in her kitchen, the house quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. "Thank you," he said simply. She nodded, then gathered her courage. "There's something else you should know," she said, voice catching. "Something about the night the boys were conceived. Something that might change everything again." The triplets weren't conceived during their marriage. They were created the night before their divorce. When Cole had come home drunk with apologies on his lips and desperation in his touch, neither of them knowing it would be their last night together for 6 years. "What about that night?" Cole asked, leaning against the kitchen counter, his body tense with anticipation of another revelation. Danielle took a deep breath, steadying herself. The house felt too quiet now that the boys were asleep, no buffer of childish chatter between them and this final truth. "The doctors weren't entirely wrong about your fertility issues," she began cautiously. "Your count was low. The chances of conception were minimal." Cole nodded slowly. He'd suspected as much from the original medical reports, once he'd separated fact from Victor's manipulation. "The night before our divorce, before I knew anything about Victor's plan or the false evidence, you came home from your business trip early." Moonlight painted silver streaks across her kitchen floor as confession poured from her lips. How she'd never stopped loving him despite the pain. How one night of reconciliation had created 3 lives before Victor's plan tore them apart the very next morning. "I remember," Cole said softly. "We've been fighting for weeks about the fertility treatments. I came home wanting to apologize, to start fresh. You've been drinking," she continued. "Not drunk, but enough that your guard was down. You said you were sorry for blaming me. That we'd find another way to have a family, if that's what I wanted." The memory crystallized between them. A rainy night, his key in the door well past midnight, her surprise at his early return. How they talked until dawn, really talked for the first time in months. How talking had turned to touching to a desperate kind of lovemaking they'd both felt might save them. "We made love 3 times that night," she said, her cheeks flushing at the memory. "Like we were trying to find our way back to each other through touch alone." Cole remembered. How could he forget? The way she'd welcomed him home despite their fighting. how her body had responded to his as if no time had passed. The plans they'd made as dawn broke, to see a different specialist, to consider adoption, to put their marriage before his pride. The next morning, you left for the office before I woke up, she continued. By afternoon, you were serving me divorce papers, accusing me of affairs I never had, refusing to even look me in the eye. Victor showed me those photos that morning. Cole said, the pieces finally fitting together. Said he had proof you'd been unfaithful while I was traveling, that you'd been stealing from our accounts. I was going to tell you I was pregnant, she admitted, once I was sure. Then Victor showed those fake photos. You filed for divorce and Her voice broke. I couldn't bear for our children to be pawns in whatever game was being played. So I left with the only thing that mattered. Cole crossed the kitchen in 2 strides, unable to maintain distance any longer. His hands framed her face with reverent care, thumbs gently wiping tears from her cheeks. Our last night together created our children, he whispered, the wonder of it washing over him. While we were trying to save our marriage, we were creating new life, she finished. 3 new lives against all medical odds. The revelation hung between them. This final piece of their broken history now mended and placed where it belonged. Their sons weren't just biological miracles. They were living proof of the love that had existed between their parents, even at the breaking point. If you could go back and change one decision that altered the course of your life, what would it be? Would you make a different choice knowing what you know now? Tell me in the comments. Her words hung between them. The final truth, the last secret unveiled. Cole moved closer, eyes never leaving hers. 6 years ago, I made the worst mistake of my life, he whispered. I won't make it again. His hand cupped her cheek, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. Danielle, he breathed, her name a prayer on his lips. Can we start over? 1 year after she crashed his gala with 3 little boys in tow, Danielle stood in the same ballroom. But this time, when Cole Harrington took her hand, it wasn't in shock, but to slide her ring back where it belonged. Are you nervous? He whispered, adjusting his bow tie as they prepared to enter. About the gala? No. Danielle smiled, straightening his already perfect tie. About everything else? Maybe a little. The past year had transformed them both. Cole had stepped into fatherhood with the same determination he brought to business, learning each boy's personality, earning their trust day by patient day. Danielle had opened her heart again cautiously, allowing Cole to prove himself not just as a father, but as the partner she'd always believed he could be. They'd moved back into their old home, completely renovated, including the kitchen, creating new memories to replace the painful ones. The company flourished under their joint leadership, their complementary strengths making Harrington Enterprises stronger than ever. Victor remained in federal custody, awaiting trial. Eleanor had taken a plea deal, now serving her sentence in a minimum security facility. The betrayals had left scars, but also clarity about what truly mattered. Crystal chandeliers cast the same light. The same Manhattan elite filled the room, but everything else had transformed. From the family portrait displayed proudly at the entrance to the relaxed set of Cole's shoulders as he moved through the crowd. One arm around Danielle, eyes constantly checking on 3 active boys now comfortable in their father's world. Daddy, can we have more cake? Alexander appeared at Cole's elbow, chocolate frosting evidence that he'd already had plenty. One more piece. Cole compromised, exchanging an amused glance with Danielle. Share with your brothers. They already had 3 pieces, Alexander reported solemnly. Then perhaps you've all had enough, Danielle suggested, smoothing her son's wayward hair. As Alexander darted back to his brothers, Cole pulled Danielle closer, his hand resting at the small of her back. The touch was possessive yet reverent, a promise kept, a future secured. Throughout the evening, they moved among their guests with easy synchronicity, her hand finding his during conversations, his fingers brushing her waist as they passed. Each touch a reminder of the intimacy they'd rebuilt, deeper now for having been broken and mended. Later, as the crowd thinned and the boys dozed on a sofa under the watchful eye of their nanny, Cole led Danielle to the center of the dance floor, the same spot where, a year ago, she'd shocked him with the existence of their sons. "Last year's gala changed everything," he said, holding her close as they swayed to the music. "I thought I was inviting my ex-wife to prove how well I'd done without her. And instead, you learned how much you'd lost," she finished, her cheek resting against his chest. "To second chances," Cole raised his glass, eyes locked with hers. "And to the woman who taught me that true strength isn't in what you build alone, but in what you're brave enough to rebuild together." When the music ended, he didn't release her. Instead, he nodded to the band leader, who announced that Mr. Harrington had a special message. "1 year ago in this room, I discovered I was a father." Cole addressed the remaining guests, his voice steady. "I also discovered what it means to be given a second chance you don't deserve." He turned to Danielle, taking both her hands in his. "Thank you for the courage to start over, for our amazing sons, and for showing me what real strength looks like." What's your second chance story? Have you ever rebuilt something you thought was permanently broken? Share your journey in the comments below. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about perfect people, but about imperfect people who learn to see each other clearly through the damage. If this journey touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about redemption, truth, and the courage to try again. Tell me in the comments what part of Cole and Danielle's journey resonated most with you. And remember, sometimes what looks like an ending is just the painful middle of a beautiful story still being written.